Hi, folks. Welcome in Seven Rivers Racing. KQEG TV, I'm Dan Dyker, along with Robert Butterfield, otherwise known as Bob. What a weekend we had, dirt track style, at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway last weekend. Torrential rains, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It got to the point that usually Bob, Tim, and his staff have the Mississippi Thunder Speedway ready to go by the time cars are on the track on Friday, but the track preparation, because it was so muddy, didn't happen until Friday.
Right, and you got to commend those guys for going out there and staying after the track and staying ahead of the weather they did, and a lot of the guys that put on a good show, and for the fans to come out and watch it. There was a lot of mud scraped up and pedaled down the sides, but they got her done.
A lot of mud, of course, cooler temperatures prevailed, but the car counts were still fantastic, and the crowds came out to support what we were seeing at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Now, this will be the last week, barring any rainouts, because the Crosse Speedway starts this coming Saturday night, thank goodness, that we're going to be breaking the show into 4 different segments. So hopefully, with no rainouts Friday or Saturday, this week we're going to have J.R. Tourtellott from the dirt track on and John Piotrowski from the Crosse Speedway on. And then we're going to give you a dirt recap of the action we had Friday night this past weekend. Now, next weekend, we're going to have recaps from both Mississippi Thunder Speedway and the Crosse Speedway, and a dirt driver and an asphalt driver on. So we're going to get the best of both worlds coming up next weekend. Mother Nature, of course, has to play with us.
That's it. I won't be in town to see any of the action next weekend, although I will be out at the dirt track Friday night.
Well, we're going to start things off straight up and down at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway, the USRA Modified. It's been a while since the man that owns the track and runs an A-Mod got a feature race win. He's got over 200 in his illustrious career. He even has some wins back at the Crosse Speedway when he ran asphalt back there. Talking about Bob Tim on a night that, man, I tell you, you talk about track conditions going from very tacky to very slippery. He was having a field day.
Right. Oh, it's been over 2 years since Bob had won a feature in the A-Mods, and it was good to see him do it at home. It's also good to see that the amount of competition that's out there. You know, Bob, just because he owns a track, he doesn't run away with it. But he was pretty humble in victory lane. It was pretty good to see a good smile on his face.
Of course, he won the track championship 2 years ago and just had problem after problem last year. And there he is crawling out in his own winner's circle. USRA Modified winner from Friday night, Bob Tim. The only repeat winner from night number 1 to night number 2 was in the USRA B-Mods. 31 cars. We had 27 on opening night, 31 last Friday night. And Corey Crapser, former four-time national champion, is going to be running in 2 different divisions this year. And from what he has shown so far, unstoppable.
Absolutely. I mean, the way you can see the lead that he's got coming down for the checkered flag there. Parker Hill, he gave him a good run early on, but Corey seemed to stretch it out there at the end just like he did last week.
He race winners Parker Hill and Dan Hovenden battled to his 2nd and 4th place finishes, respectively. Lucky John Van Minsel ended up this race in 3rd after having a miserable start to the 2015 race season 2 weeks ago. So Corey Crapser has now made it 2 for 2, sitting on top of the USRA B-Mod standings. The late models, 2nd race of 2015, matter of fact, 2nd race of their existence. 2 weeks ago, I talked to Lance Hofer. He said he made a change from the heat race to the feature, and it was terrible. He totally missed the setup, and he was embarrassed to be out there. Last weekend, Friday night, whatever change he made, it stuck because he won.
Absolutely. Whatever changes he made, it definitely worked, and I hope they kept the notes on that because once he got up front, he stayed out there.
Again, Lance Hofer driving both an A-Mod and the late model here in 2015. And what a remarkable job he did. The class had 12 cars. It's going to be growing throughout the year as drivers figure out the setups, the motors, the shocks, the springs, the whole gamut. And Lance Hofer finally got things set up as he takes the limited late model win on night number 2. To the Super Stocks we go, and Kurt Myers is a gentleman that Dan Bailey, our other announcer at MTS, and I talked about last year. He was coming from last place to 1st place all the way through the season. I think he had 6 feature wins last year. He had troubles in opening night, some mechanical troubles, and he came out. I want to say he started this race deep in the pack, and man, did he do away with the field.
He really did. I was watching that car as he was going through the corners, and he was pretty much flat-footed. And he'd burp it going into one to get the car to set real nice, and then he was right back on it, and it was just so much of a different driving style than everybody else. He certainly had it going on.
Kurt Myers gets a clean sweep. The Wissota Super Stocks got the heat race and the feature win. Tommy Richards took second. Gianrichio third. Jeff Brower fourth. Dan Nissalke takes fourth. Jeff Brower rounds out the night in the top 5. That was the Wissota Super Stocks. The 600 mods. Greg Wolitz is one of the drivers that helped bring this class to MTS years ago, and he broke a good streak on a Friday night to top speeds. These little cars were putting down was between 86 and 88 mile an hour. And after a 2012 MTS Track Championship with his number 32 600 mod, Greg Willits raced to a strong yet winless 2014. Night number 2, raced his way to the front, and this was an outstanding race.
It really was.
Took him quite a while to get up there.
It really was. Watching, everybody, there was, once the field set themselves, the front runners that are usually there every week, they got up front and pretty much stayed there. That Kyle Jumbeck in the 01X, he looked like he was going to give him a little bit of competition there in 1 and 2, and then it seemed like Greg just stretched it out.
Another fantastic car count for the 600 mods. Jumbeck took second, and it was John Griffin, a K9. He was racing his way through the field, was always right up there with the closing laps. He finishes in the top 3. To the sportsman division, of course, the Pure Stocks went away, so we combined the Sporties and the Pure Stocks this year. Those numbers are continually on the rise as well. And Jordan Becker, who missed night number 1, he's the only Woody Woodpecker that holds a Bud Light in the entire state of Wisconsin on the side of his car. Man, I'll tell you what, maybe taking that first night off to solidify his car was what he needed, because once he got in front of Richards, he was gone.
Yeah, Steve Dwyer was giving him, they were running door to door, putting on a really good show, but it seemed like once Jordan cleared him right about there, it was done. But
Jordan,
that's a really good wrap on that car.
Jordan
too.
Having a lot of problems last year, had a lot of damage to his car on numerous nights, and he came out in style. It was Steve Dwyer's second. Jeremy Oakes ended up taking third, as you see the final lap here for the Woody Woodpecker powered machine of Jordan Becker. Second night of the Hornets, and Johnny Severson, who came out last week. I mean, he's got the most track wins out of a Hornet ever at MTS. Won his heat race, but had to bow out after the first lap of the feature, which really opened things up, as you're going to see here in a moment. And 3 drivers stayed in contention almost the entire way. Bill Wolf, as you see right there, finally opened up a commanding lead. He was fighting many laps with Sandy Pomeroy and Hunter Nelson. Those 3 were pretty much packed all up until we had 5 laps to go, and Wolf finally got to click.
When I saw Severson pull off the track, I thought this is going to be anybody's. And when I saw these 3 running together really, really tight, I kind of thought Sandy was going to have it there for a minute.
Of course, Hunter Nelson takes third. Fletcher Moline rounds out the top 5. Now, Hunter Nelson dropped a motor at Decorah last Sunday, said he may be watching this Friday night's races from the grandstands, as he's got some major repairs to do under the hood of the 52. Racing resumes this Friday night. It'll be the first night of the A and B mini mods on the Lightning Speedway inside of the 3rd mile at MTS. They'll start at 6. The rest of the racing starts off at 7 o'clock. Another exciting night coming up. And then Saturday night, the Crosse Speedway. After getting the Frostbuster in and out, a 2-week layoff, we get underway with a full show. Late model Sportsman, Thunder Stocks, Hornets, pre-race kids rides, and the second over-the-line wins novelty race. Qualifying at 6:15, racing at 7:30 at the La Crosse Speedway. Coming up on the program, we're going to give you some dirt action from the asphalt to the dirt this year for J.R. Tourtellott in the number 35. And then the Monkey Man, John Piotrowski, is going to join us. Retired last year, or did he? He's going to be back out for a full 2015 season. We'll talk to both of them next on 7 Rivers Racing.
Get ready for the Thunder!
The Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
Your Friday night racing destination.
Every Friday night.
Super Stocks, Modified,
600 mods.
Pure Stocks, Street Stocks, B-Mods.
It's racing excitement, dirt track style. Tickets $12 for adults, $10 for seniors. Students free with an ID. And this year, kids 17 and under free with an adult admission. Friday night racing starts at 7.
Bring on the Thunder!
Dirt track style at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
Highway 35 just north of Fountain City.
Some of the best moments in life happen at home. American Standard Heating and Air works smarter to make them all more comfortable.
Over $400 in rebates available on select American Standard systems. Call Carey Heating and Air Conditioning today for a free estimate.
Welcome back, Seven Rivers Racing. I'm Dan Dyker along with Rob Butterfield. Had a chance to do a lot of interviews this year with some great individuals that love dirt track racing at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway as part of their car show. Had to get my next guest on this year because the transformation he's going to have is going to be like one I don't think we're going to see at Mississippi Thunder Speedway all year. J.R. Tourtellott, what's up, buddy?
Nothing much.
Number one, before we get into the interview, who was the band you had at your smoker this year?
The owners of Garden of Eden in Galesville, I believe their band is called The Clock.
Outstanding.
They were good.
Yeah, they're pretty good, was it 5-piece band? They do a pretty good job.
So I'm going to JR Smoker. Rob and I pull up, and not even thinking what you were driving this year. And we're going through the parking lot of your shop, and I said, well, whose B-Mod is that sitting out there? And I couldn't find, or your Super. I said, whose Super Stock is that? And Rob's like, well, I don't know. I couldn't find your car. Jeff Thompson's was there. And then it dawned on me, you're going full-time dirt this year. Tell me about that.
Yep, I raced West Salem for 5 years. Did 2 years of Thunder Stocks, and last year they brought back the Hornet class here in Fountain City. So I thought, well, we'll try that with my Hornet, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. Good people, good track, good payout. So I sold the Hornet car and bought a Super Stock. Figured I would go full-time.
And our cameraman, Rick Wilson, got some great B-Mod footage we're going to show during the program here so you can see what that looks like. I don't know why it is, but the Super Stock class at MTS has to be my favorite. And I think it's because the body styles go back to the old ASA Dick Trickle type days.
Exactly, they're throwbacks.
You're getting 17 to 20 cars every single night. The racing is simply phenomenal. I'm sure you've had a chance to watch that Super Stock class up here.
Oh yeah, I watched that pretty close last year. Kind of caught my eye watching it, and I thought, well, if I can find one, I'll see what I can do. And I happened to pick one up from longtime racer John Duffy.
Now at your smoker, I noticed I was looking over your car. I'm a car guy, so I'm looking underneath and everything, and I see these lines, these Sharpie lines. You guys made that body in your shop, didn't you?
Actually, I didn't. I bought it with a new body on it from John Duffy.
Oh, okay.
Yep, he did that himself. So.
That's whoever did a really nice job.
Yeah.
It's nice little grooves and everything.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll be able to copy that when it comes time. But.
Well, it's like
a shop.
It's like Dan said. It's the older body styles a lot of people can relate to, and they'll go back maybe 20, 25 years or something like that, and then remember those cars, and it's just neat to see them out on the racetrack.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting in it this year and seeing what I can do with it.
There you
It'll
go.
be a whole new ball game.
You know, it is, but I think that you've had previous experience on the dirt, and it's just like asphalt. Once you get comfortable driving a line with that kind of speed, you just kind of fall and blend right into what you're doing. You ran 4 or 5 times dirt last year in a Hornet car. Do you think you can keep those same lines or keep some of that mentality as you get into obviously a much faster car?
I'm not real sure. I did run my Thunder Stock once last year.
That's right.
So I got the feel of that with a rear-wheel drive car on regular dirt tires instead of the street tires we had to run on the 4-cylinders. So I think it's going to be about the same deal. Once you get a line that you're comfortable with, just go with it.
What would you say your top goals are? Obviously a rookie to this class, a rookie to full-time dirt racing. What would you say your goals are this year?
Well, hopefully get Rookie of the Year. I'm going to shoot for that. And then if everything goes well, try to get top 10 in points at least.
A couple of heat wins, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, a win would be good.
What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for you at Mississippi Thunder Speedway this year?
I'm getting to know everybody and getting comfortable with the car, learning the setup. Like with the West Salem Thunder Stock car, there wasn't near the setup I've got to do now. So I guess a whole new learning curve for that, and just figure it all out and run it.
Now, when you talk about setup, are you talking that shocks may be a big challenge?
Shocks, springs, got to scale the car, make sure the weights are right, your tires, all that stuff.
So is this car, did you buy it used? Has it already been raced before?
Yep, John Duffy raced it for, I'm not sure how many years. It's a 2008 chassis. So,
okay.
And then he raced it up until he bought the one he's running now, and I think he's run that one he's got now for 3 years, something like that.
So it's got a few laps on it?
Yep, it's a proven car. It's a winning car. So, and then actually last year the car was ran one night, and in the feature started 22nd, wound up 7th.
That's not bad.
So it is a fast car and a good car. I just hope I can take it there myself.
A lot of hope in that car, yeah?
Well, the racetrack is nice for you because it's almost right in your backyard, living in Galesville. We're really excited to see what the number 35 Superstock can do at Mississippi Thunder Speedway this year. And going from one extreme to the other should be one of the biggest challenges JR is going to have to accomplish this year. But I'll tell you what, we're looking forward to it.
All right, thank you.
All right, Jerry, our Tourtellott, he's got that number 35. He's kept the number for quite a while. And I can't wait to see him slinging up some dirt, going a little bit sideways on the 3rd mile at MTS. When we come back, more race talk with Rob and Dan here on Seven Rivers Racing, KQEG TV.
Get ready for the Thunder,
The Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
your Friday night racing destination.
Every Friday night.
Super stocks, modifieds,
600 mods.
pure stocks, street stocks, B-mods.
It's racing excitement, dirt track stock. Tickets $12 for adults, 10 for seniors. Students free with an ID. And this year, kids 17 and under free with an adult admission. Friday night racing starts at 7.
Bring on the Thunder.
Dirt track style at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
Highway 35 just north of Fountain City.
Some of the best moments in life happen at home. American Standard Heating and Air works smarter to make them all more comfortable.
Over $400 in rebates available on select American Standard systems. Call Carey Heating and Air Conditioning today for a free estimate.
We are back, 7 Rivers Racing, KQEG TV. I'm Dan Dyker, getting ready for the 2015 season opener at the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway. We had a chance to corral some drivers during the 2015 Media Day and open practice session held at the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway a couple of weeks ago. And a driver, it was funny, as we were setting this one up here in the upper VIP stands here at the La Crosse Speedway. Our guest told me last year he was retiring. The monkeys were flying into the grandstands. The grand brouhaha was over with. He was done. And, well, John Piotrowski is somehow sitting in between Rob Butterfield and I, the monkey man. You're coming back again, man. I am so happy to have you back a part of our program this year.
And I am glad to be back. I kind of feel like Brett Favre right about now, but
we're not using the term waffling because I can't stand that term.
But yeah, I a good friend of mine, John Radke, and I had a little meeting at a Subway in La Crosse, and one thing led to another, and next thing you know, the Monkey Man's back for one more season. So we're going to give it a ride in his car, and we're going to see what happens.
Now, of course, he said one more season. I'm not going to believe anything out of this man's mouth. You're one of the long-tenured drivers, and you and I, we've had you on the show before, and we've talked about this in the past, that you've never come out of the Hornet class. You don't want to come out of the Hornet class because you're not out here to win track championships. You're out here to have fun.
Absolutely, and that's what this division is all about. It's nothing but fun. And I'll tell you what, there is no better way to spend an afternoon than sitting here turning laps in a Hornet car on this track. And Chuck and the gang here do a really good job to set us up, and so we can have a good time doing it.
Now, I've read over the rules a little bit with the Hornet division, and I'm not as well versed in it as you would be. But what is it about those cars that attracts you to run that division and not move up, or maybe just stick with the Hornets? Why are you so loyal?
Well, it is strictly stock class, and I'll tell you what, it's hard to make adjustments on a car when you got to stay stock and within the rules.
Absolutely.
And that is a challenge. And it's also a part-time division where you're not married to the track, which is not a bad thing, but if you got stuff to do or you're just breaking into it, you don't have a lot of money, this is the division to see if this is something you want to do.
Well, I tell you, watching those cars in this, as Dan calls it, the action-packed quarter mile, it provides a real good, it hosts a good facility for you guys to really put on a good show. You guys are running 2, 3, and 4 wide all over the place.
Oh yeah.
And it's a lot of fun to watch. As a matter of fact, if I ever got back into it, that's the class I'd want to run.
Oh, you betcha. And I'll tell you what, by the end of the night, if you got any fingernails left on your hand, it's going to be a wonder. She is a nail biter, but it is fun, and it is door to door from the time they drop that flag until the time it's over.
Right.
Got to do some patting on the back here, of course. Something I've become famous for at the La Crosse Speedway is the offering of nicknames to a lot of our drivers. Some like them, which is too bad, because if you get it, you're going to keep it. You're one of those that, goodness, I want to say 5, 6, 7 years ago,
the Monkey Man nickname had kind of came out, and it's on the back of your apparel. I've got the big monkey in my office up here at the Speedway.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you, it stuck. I got a purple monkey that during fan appreciation is where it all started, and we gave him a name, Spanky, and I ran with that. The car now has about 7 other monkeys in it. I rebuilt it. John's help at his smoker. He's restarted the clan, building back up, and we got a bunch of monkeys, and we're going with the name Little Rascals.
Little Rascals.
And that's what each one of them got a name of.
There it is right there. See, Rick Wilson's going to bring in. Let's see if we can get him in here. It's funny because this is my buddy here in the tower. It was about 5 years ago. We had Fan Appreciation Night, which is one of your entire family's favorite nights.
Absolutely, you betcha. That is the one race that I will go all out.
We ended up having a nasty rainstorm come through for Fan Appreciation. The drivers are always giving stuff away. So John was giving away all these different kinds of monkeys. 2 people actually responded to my Facebook that still held their tickets, and they came up and got their monkeys. This guy here is the one I really wanted because, well, being a Packer fan, this was the cool one. Nobody responded, so now he is the owner of, everybody knows the hats I wear here. On the track, off the track, all the shades I have. He's the holder of my apparel right behind where I announce that.
Absolutely, and it couldn't, I feel sorry for the person who missed out on it, but at least I know he's got a good home.
He does. He's been here. He's been up in the tower. I don't take him out of the tower. He survives the winters here at the Crosse Speedway, and he's going to continue to do so. Hey, I wanted to ask you, last year they changed the format for the Hornets in the way the heat races ran into preliminaries, into features. Your take on that?
Actually, I think it's a good idea, and I talked to Chuck at orientation too as well, and he was telling me that there is going to be a change in the way they award the points as well, that they were looking at changing it, and I think that's going to be exciting. I really think it's going to lead to a lot, if it can get any closer, a lot closer racing than it is right now.
Well, the past, 3 or 4 years, there's been 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 drivers with 2 nights to go that are only separated by, I think it was 2 years ago, there were 12 drivers separated by about 13 points, which that's one of the reasons I love that class.
Yes, and it is tooth and nail right down to the very end of it.
Sponsor-wise for you here in 2015, I know you're back on board, so you had to go back on the sponsor trail.
Yep.
Besides Shamrock Motorsports and Radke Racing, who's on board?
We also have Coors Light. We have Hungry Peddler. And
come on, Angie. Angie's going to help out.
Lease.
Angie's the daughter. Everybody know.
I'm trying to remember
Angie
these
Piotrowski.
Here,
they know who she is.
Paul Euler, All-Star Lanes. And yeah, that's about it. So I got most of them. Hey, I did pretty good.
Angie, of course, the car owner.
Well, no,
not this year.
John
Not this year.
This
John
year,
is. So what is she doing this year then?
She's actually my pit crew and my PR person.
And Robert, she does turn a wrench.
Really?
I've watched it for years on end.
I'll tell you what, for a girl, she's not afraid to get right down and get all greasy and grimy.
So she's the monkey wrench.
She is the monkey wrench.
Oh, that was good. You need a pit crew shirt now that says the monkey wrench on it.
There you have it. I think that's a good idea.
John Piotrowski is the one and only Monkey Man. There will never be another Monkey Man at this track as long as I'm doing what I'm doing here, because that nickname has stayed, and the fans, even the young ones, generally adore what you do. They adore what your family does, and it's so glad to have you back this year.
Thank you for having me on your show. Appreciate it.
We're back. Thanks for joining us on Seven Rivers Racing. John Piotrowski. I knew he couldn't stay away from the racetrack. Got those monkeys right there. What are you going to do with them?
Right. He's kind of like the Mark Martin of that class, isn't he? He said he was going to retire a couple times, wasn't it?
And I forgot his daughter, Angie, of course. She's been the car owner for years. Now it's a different story because he's running John Radke's old 7R Honda Civic, which has always been lightning fast.
Right. I'm kind of interested to see what John's going to do in that car.
Well, of course, we're going to see it this weekend. The Crosse Speedway finally gets the 2015 season opener underway. Late model sportsmen, Thunder stocks, Hornets. We're going to have pre-race kids rides. If your kids have never been inside of a stock car before, they can before we get the races underway. And the novelty race will be the second over the line, which is always a hilarious finish to the Thunder stocks. Qualifying at 6:15. First race is at 7:30. Hopefully the weather plays fair. Looks like it's going to as of right now. So hopefully we get a good night of racing in at Crosse Speedway. Again, Friday night at Mississippi Thunder Speedway, the A and B mini mods will be taken to the Lightning Speedway inside the 3rd mile. That's going to start at 6. Rest of the racing action at 7. And if anything, what we've seen so far the first 2 weeks of the dirt track, these guys are in mid-season form. So it's one of these nights coming up. It's going to be anybody can win.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to the comeback of those mini mods too. Those kids that run those cars, you wouldn't guess they're kids. I mean, they got a heavy foot, and they're definitely our future. So come on and root them on. And
that Lighted Speedway speeds of 45 to 50 mile per hour. For Rob Butterfield and Dan Dyker, check us out on Facebook at 7 Rivers Racing. Also tune in Saturday afternoons from 1 until 2. My daily KTY Mississippi Thunder Race Report show with all kinds of drivers and MTS recaps and getting you ready for the La Crosse Speedway. Again, you can find that page on Facebook as well. For Jesse and Rick, I'm Dan Dyker. Thanks for joining us. Week number 2 is in the can. This is 7 Rivers Racing.